Welcome to episode 2 of the Deal Finder here in real estate, here with Luis Torres, real estate broker. Luis the broker, right here in the Chicagoland area. This is the video where I just look at what has been happening in the real estate market here in the last several days and see, what of these properties that come up are actually deals for those who are looking to invest in real estate, namely to buy and hold or to, flip a property. Not every property that shows up in the market is a deal. Not every property that looks like it needs work is a deal. It could be ugly to the sight, but it can also be ugly in price and terms, right? So it's not a deal. So here in these episodes, I like to just kind of go over not only the property and its pictures, but I also like to go over the rehab costs just from a realtor perspective, realtor point of view, go over the ARV and whatnot, and just make sure that things are looking, good. So that's what we're gonna do here, okay? Like I always say, I don't do editing in these videos. It's live in the moment, it's just unedited, uncut. I wanna make sure that you see the real me. So that way, if you feel that not only could I be your digital realtor here on YouTube, but also if you're looking to do something here in the real world, get out there, look at some properties, and I could represent you as either a buyer agent or a listing agent, I would love to help you out. Again, my phone number is 630-777-4597. I know it's a little bit off here, so let me kind of scooch it in. There you go. You can see that right there in the cool background. This is the office. This is where everything works. And sometimes we make a little cameo appearance of the face right there to show you that this is a deal, right? Whenever there's a deal, you're going to see my face pop up, okay? Otherwise, we're going to try to keep that guy away, right? Anyway, so let's get into this here. So far this morning, what I am seeing here in the real estate market is 37 homes available for sale, right? So this is the real estate market here in the Western Suburbs of Chicago. As you can see here, I'm zooming out. You can see the city of Chicago right there. And I'm focusing on this hot spot right here in the Aurora, Naperville area. A little bit of Plainfield and whatnot, but I do see here that's a hot spot. Other spots are, Elgin or Joliet, but I do see here in Aurora, they tend to eclipse more of that area, okay? So what we've been seeing here trending lately is we've been having about 21, 23 properties last week available for sale. This week we've been trending more about 26, 28 properties for sale. And right now we are looking at, it looks like 37 properties, but not every one of those properties are available. Some of these are temporarily no-show status and others are not, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just filter out those that are not ready to see today. And this is what we're looking at right now, okay? As you can see there, I'm trying to zoom in to some other parts, but yeah, we're looking at 26, just like I said, okay, the trend has held, and we do see several properties here in the west side of Aurora that are priced below $300,000. That's, looks like 6 properties in the west side. Here we have the river area. I like to call this, I guess, the in-between of the two, and so we have properties very close to the river. They, in my opinion, don't tend to perform as well as more inland, away from the Fox River. Here on the east side, even though some folks see this east side as a little bit polarizing, you know what, the fact is, if there are deals to be had, then we're going to communicate that, okay? That's what we're all about here. Non-discrimination and we do fair housing, right? So we want to make sure that everything is going well. But in the east side, though, we do see several other properties available for sale, with at least 10 or so, okay? And then we do see some others here in the Boulder Hill neighborhood as well. That's in the Montgomery, Illinois area, right here in the city. And we have about 6 or 7 or so just by glancing, okay? So what we're gonna do here is just take a look at what's been active on the market as of late. So let me scooch over here to the side and just let you know what's happening right now. What's active at the moment, okay? That are deals as of right now, right? The ones that I've already looked at, because I'm only going to look at 2 of them that are new to the market that I haven't yet scanned. Okay, I'm going to scan these and see if they are fitting for a deal here for an investor. Okay, but as of right now, we do see there are, let's see, there's one here on 5th Avenue that's potential good deal. Another one here that's on Woodlawn Avenue that is looking at $700 cash flow per month of those that are available. All right, and other than that, that's pretty much it. Everything else is going under contract. Remember, real estate quickly moves and shifts. Every single day the market just changes. Yesterday I was sitting at a listing appointment, and I was telling the folks, like, my assessment of the market is such of March 2026. But if you want to wait until April or the summer to list, those numbers could change. The real estate changes daily, changes weekly, changes monthly, of course, every 30 days. Something else is happening. the closed sales do impact the values of homes, right? So you want to make sure that you're staying up to date. So obviously see me as your digital realtor, but if you are interested, call me at 630-777-4597, as you can see right there. All right, so that you can know what's going on. But yes, those properties, only 2 of those remain that are for rent. This one here does not have any further photos, but I am seeing here that this house does have a decent cash flow. You can see that this home does have some work that is needed inside. Never mind, you could clean up the house, right? I think an amateur would probably look at the decoration and the clutter and see, oh, this is not a deal, or it's ugly. No, just try to see the home as it is, right? As it truly is, and not as a potential situation here. Just see it as, okay, you know what, this house does need some work. Look at the walls, like look at the color of the floors or anything. Just look at the floors, look at the walls, look at the kitchen. Just try to train your brain to see away from the clutter, okay, and the mess. The other one that's available is on Woodlawn, 138 Woodlawn. I was just there this morning fixing a real estate sign. This one here is also available for sale. You could see how it looks like here. All right, this one looks to be in decent shape, and so it doesn't have a garage, but it does show some work, and I could probably update some more things here and there. And also the size of the house. I mean, it is not the biggest house in the world, so that could probably also be a factor in your decision-making process, okay? Other than that, those are the only 2 that I see that are good for buying and holding as of this moment. Now, after I scan these 2 new ones into the market, hopefully we can see that these homes are good for buying and renting out. If the cash flows, I believe $500 or more, I believe that's a decent deal for buy and hold. All right, but of those homes that I see right now in the market that are decent, or at least good for picking out, right, I am looking at, let's take a look here. 617 Cleveland Street looks to be a decent one. I do see Lindenwood to be also another one. Fifth Avenue looks to be another good one. All right, I do see Park Avenue that has a highest and best due by tomorrow, Sunday. So that way they can make a decision on this one. All right, and then I have a couple others. Okay, now if you want to know the complete list, for sure reach out to me at 630-777-4597 again, so that you can see which homes are on the market that are deals. But for now, look, I'm sharing with you these 4 properties: 509 Park Avenue, 504 Fifth Avenue, 906 Lindenwood Drive, and 617 Cleveland Street that are good for deals, okay? This is why they call me the deal finder, right? Now, this is on the market, of course, and anyone with access to the MLS can also show this, but not everyone knows how to run the numbers or knows what to look for, right? Especially every single day, there's always new realtors joining the real estate world, right? And so they lack a lot of experience, they lack a lot of know-how. There's still many years ahead of them to learn things. So you always want to vet and interview agents so that they can know, right? And hopefully, by you watching me here on YouTube, you'll understand that, hey, you know what? Louis, the broker, knows how to find deals or knows how to navigate this and that. And if you do feel that way, again, call me at 630-777-4597. Several years of experience here doing this. So, this is what we do, right? And every single day, the craft is perfected more and more and more, okay? So when you're dealing with me, you're not dealing only with a realtor that can open doors, but also someone that can connect you with the properties. I see myself not so much as just someone that opens doors. There's a lot of work to be done behind the scenes. If all these little computers in the back represent something, we are in charge of a lot of things. I'm not going to go into depth because this is not the video for that. But again, just know that, okay? All right. Even this week, I had an investor here at my office telling me, wow, there's a lot of work involved in this. And it definitely is, okay? Especially, again, if you take this job seriously. No one told me to show up to do this. No one told me to show up to the office. On the contrary, right? Folks want us to stay home and just relax. And that's okay. I get it. There's a time to relax, but not always, right? So you need someone that's driven to show up to work even on a Saturday, okay? As we do here on YouTube every Saturday, doing the deal finder here. All right, so let's take a look here at the homes that are available for show, right? So the property that is in question that I want to look at first here, we're going to do 2 properties. One is 19 Wyndham Drive, okay? That's going to be here in Montgomery. Let me just show you exactly where it's at. All right, so it's in the Boulder Hill neighborhood, all right, and it's right there. That's the property. This one's going for $290,000, and an amateur might look at this and say, wow, it's only been on the market only 1 day. That's awesome. Well, the thing is this, right? It's been on the market actually for over 150 days, okay? Now, that matters, especially if you're savvy and you understand, hey, why has it been sitting in the market for so long? And that might also indicate to you that this property might be, negotiable. So that's another thing that you want to look at, okay? But for now, let's just analyze this property and see whether or not this makes sense. Now, I don't have any photos in the interior, okay? I do understand though that in the past, with the feedback that I've been getting and whatnot, and I'm gonna also utilize PropStream to kind of give me an idea if there's any photos that have been put in the past. I do want to look at all of my resources to see if there are any photos available of this property, 19 Wyndham. But for now, what I'm gonna do, I am going to excuse me, let me move this out of the way. All right, put this one, let me just put it over here. All right, out of the way, and I'm going to run some numbers, okay? So off the camera here, I'm going to run the rental numbers. Now, this property here in Wyndham has 3 bedrooms plus, one, and then it has 1.5 bathroom more, and it's a house. So because of that information I have here, I'm gonna run some numbers and see what the rents can go for, okay? So according to this, rents can go for $2,600. So actually, let me do this as well here. I'm going to bring up my famous little, well, I call it famous, stickies here on my Mac. That way I can pull up the information regarding this. Let me show you. This is my little, there it is. You see it right there? That right there is my way of finding out anything about the property, right? This is like its litmus test or its vitals, of the home. Essentially, right? At least when it comes to finding out whether it's a deal or not. I take into account cash flow. I take into account when it was posted in the market. That matters, right? Market time matters. So that date right there helps me understand. I also look at the condition of the property. I give it a percentage, or I give it a score every time I look at it so that I can quickly glance and see. I also take into account rental numbers. I take into account mortgage numbers only for that cash flow. I look into the flip cost and everything else, okay? So I'm not gonna bore you with the other things, but it is essential for me to look at. All right, so now that we have that up and running, all right, I'm going to look up the information for this one, okay? All right, so once again here, I'm running some numbers. Now that property, let's see, I do see some photos actually. All right, very good. So I'm gonna pull up here PropStream to you on your screen, okay? This is a public facing website here. Well, there's a cost to this, yes. But let's take a look, okay? If these photos show me anything, then there it is, okay? It's not available in the MLS for me, right, to see. But it's been there before, right? So because of that, I'm going to start to, look at the inside and see whether or not this works. All right, well, look at that. That's interesting. Let's see. You see that little slide? That's cool, right? They just took down a couple of these balusters, I think it is, and they just slide down. Interesting, okay? Well, it is what it is. They just made a makeshift, makeshift slide there. Let me just keep going. So sorry about the angle of these. You're going to have to just look at this from the side, the way it's been put up there. Now, the floors don't look great, so it does need some work there. I see the walls need some work as well. This is laminate flooring here in one of the bedrooms. There's color of one of those as well. So there's lots of unique colors for this property here. So the kitchen needs some work. So I'm gonna just go based on this, okay? So this is actually good data for me to consider, okay? When it comes time for me to, analyze the rent costs of this, there you go, okay? So good, I'm glad I have that tool so that I can, continue to assess. All right, so let's go back to this, right? So again, the rents are for $2,600, all right? This property came on the market. Actually and technically, it came on the market October, okay, based on my knowledge that I have for this one. So I'm gonna put October, okay, and they're asking for $290. Before they used to ask for over $300,000. So that's where things worked. Didn't sell, so we're going to continue to go. All right. Now that I have that information there, I'm going to now assess what's happening in the real estate market as far as comps go, okay? Now, yes, with market information, you can already know off the top of your head, what it is, but I'm going to just verify everything because, again, you could say, well, I know that this area can sell for, $330,000. Again, the market changes every week, every month for sure, every 6 months. So if you're operating on data that's a year old, and this is why you got to be cautious, with what kind of realtor you're dealing with. You have to, interview those who are, staying up to date, because again, you could be dealing with a realtor who thinks they know everything, which of course they have a lot of knowledge, but they could be operating on 6-month-old data. 1 month old data and say this area always sells for 330. Nah, have you seen the most recent comps? They go for now 370, let's say, right? So even though we have our knowledge, we always, at least I, try to work on, keeping everything current, and I try not to rely too much on my own mental habits, right? My systems are the ones that work, right? And my systems tell me, hey, let's take a look at this home, right? All right, and that information. So this property is 1,600 square feet. So I'm going to look at all the homes that are under 2,000, right? And then over 1,200 square feet, okay? So now that that is there, let me go ahead and pull up that data and take a look at that information, okay? So once again, looking into the information here, just trying to filter down, okay? We're trying to look at some data that shows us what the homes sold for here in the last 6 months, okay? 6 months is what we're looking at. All right, 29. So there you go, 29. So according to this circle right here, 29. And I really like to just focus as close as possible to the radius, okay? As close as possible. All right, now the next thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to look at all the homes that look similar to mine, all right? To my subject property. Remember, the subject property looks like this. All right, it's not a single story, right? It's more like a split level home because we could go inside, but there's a lower level and then there's a upper level, right? And then there's could be maybe the kitchen is up here, we'll see, right? I know the garage is here and whatnot, but we have to just take into account all these things. And we already saw some photos, we could look at them again, but we're going to just, keep that in mind, okay? So because of that, this is not a comp, right? Let me just kind of scroll and see which ones might fit that category of being a split. This one's a split, right? So I'm gonna capture that one. In fact, let me just do this real quick. Let me zoom out. Let me see if I could do that here. Boom, there we go. All right. So what I'm gonna do once again here is take a range of prices. I know sometimes it takes a little longer, and I appreciate you wanting to stick around and take time to see how I scan these properties. So the minimum in this area goes for 205, right? So nothing lower than that. And the highest one is for 455. But this 455, if you look at it, number 29, is actually a little out of the way, right? It's past Old Post Road. So is it still considered the Boulder Hill neighborhood? I would say yes. But okay, that's still, a lot of other factors to consider, whether or not this property was, built. So let me go ahead and go towards the higher side of things, right? Here we go. I'm looking at all the photos, trying to pick up the ones that are as close in resemblance to my subject property. You see, some of these ranch homes, like this one here, does not fit the category, right? This one does not fit the category. But others might. So I'm just scrolling, just looking at the appearance of the home. I want to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges or apples to pears, right? It doesn't make sense to do it that way. Let me take a look. I think this one might fit the bill. I'm going to just include that in there. All right, this is another one as well. And as I'm going higher and higher on this list, the prices are going lower and lower, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right, so now that that's done, I'm going to now eliminate those that didn't make the list, and now we got stuck with about 5 properties. Here we go. Now, once we have this renewed list, let me go ahead and find it. The highest price I saw is $355,000 for a property like this, and this is number 5, right? So let me show you the map here. Number 5, so that one would be right here. Basically entering into that spot, right? Let's take a look in the inside of that property. All right, there we go. Hopefully you can see it. All right, I passed by this house many times. I know how it looks like here. And the inside looks basic, right? Just looking at this, got the light colored oak, right? We got the neutral colors, virtually staged. I like the sliding door, that's good. All right, that's the kitchen. All right, nothing that pops out and says, wow, this is all premium finishes. No, but it's good enough for it to sell for $355,000, right? That's why it sold in 16 days. The next one up is the property here that sold for $346. So once again, this is a decent home, as you can see here. All right, the finishes, in my opinion, are more premium. I even like this light. Look at that light. It's like an infinity light, it looks like. It doesn't have a basement, right? You can see the major appliances of the furnace and the water heater there. The bathroom looks great, all right? And it looks like it has some carpet here and the black finish here of that one. So I like this one here, and it sold for $346-ish. Let's take a look. Oops, sorry about that, all the white screen. All right, so that one went for $346 and $355. So I think it's safe to say, excuse me, that the ARV for this house is $350, okay, $350. So now that's the basis of my calculation. So now I'm going to go over to a mortgage calculator. I might sneeze actually, and if I do, I'm not gonna edit it out. Remember, I told you that we are about making sure, excuse me, that we are not editing anything because it has to be genuine and live. Right? I'm over here. Sorry about the stretch. All right. So the flip calculator. Let's assume that it's a conventional loan. Let's assume that it's a cash only, right? If someone's a cash buyer for this home, okay, let's just take it into account. The purchase price is only $290. And I can already tell you off the bat, they're asking $290 and the ARV is $350. It's not a deal. It just isn't a deal, right? Let's just assume though that the buyer broker fee to purchase this property is, let's say they pay, the seller pays to acquire this property. Great. And then the closing date is a month from today, right? So basically April 21. And then the rehab total for this one, well, this is where we have to take into account the cost, right? We have to look at the calculator and see, where the repairs would be. Now, I'm not gonna waste time here doing that. Typically what I would do is look at the property, right? And start looking in the inside and start calculating the costs of, replacing carpet, repainting and doing this and that, right? That's what you would typically do. But again, because the ARV doesn't make sense already, I would already call this as, this is not a flip. This is not a flip, right? If you want to, use a rule of thumb, if you want to do this based on the square feet of this home, then maybe I would say about 30K of, updating, right? 30K in rehab costs, right? So let's just assume that's the number. So the rehab total would be about 30,000. All right. Again, the ARV is 350 in this area based on the comparables that we saw. Assuming that we sell this house at 3% broker fee and 2.5. This is saying this is just not a standard number. It's very negotiable. But yeah, let's just kind of run the numbers here. The taxes for that property is, let's take a look here, $59.73. Okay. So $59.73. All right, and then the insurance $1,500. All right, and that's it. So let's just run with those numbers, right? Is it a flip or not? The numbers that spit out is only $3,000 in, gain. Okay, that's your profit, $3,000. You say, well, I can make something, right? You're almost breaking even. But again, if it takes you 2-3 months to rehab this property, do you think that it makes sense then to work 3 months and only get paid $3,000? That's basically getting $1,000 a month, right, for the work you do. It doesn't make sense. So this is how a rehabber thinks, right? They're trying to think, okay, if I want to make $5,000 a month and it takes me 3 months to do the job, right? That's $15,000 that I need to have in this flip for it to make sense. Now, if I have a team of 3 people, then now I have to make actually $45,000. So I have 3 people doing the work for 3 months. Each of us get paid $5,000. You see how that thinking goes into the thought. So it's not just about, I want to make $20,000. They're thinking, how long does it take for me to do this? So again, if someone is putting in $5,000, let's just say, right? Maybe they want to make more, right? So $5,000, and there's 3 workers. That's $15,000. And they said, well, I can't flip it in 1 month. I need at least 3 months again, or even 4 months. Then now they need to have a flip of 60,000 or more, right? So that's the dilemma that the investor would have. Okay. So now going back to this, here we go. So the rehab cost, I would call it at $30. It's not a flip, right? Because we need the margins to go greater. But just because it's not a flip doesn't mean that you just toss the baby out with the bathwater. What if this property has a rent, right? What if it can rent for a good price? You say, well, I mean, look, I saw the numbers here. That's why Boulder Hill is a hot neighborhood, especially for buy and hold, right? So let's take a look here. Where's my mouse? My cursor. All right, so let's say that, yeah, they do want $290. It's gonna be $320, right? If you purchase it to fix it up, you're in at $320. You put 20% down payment. Interest rates, man, they are volatile. By the way, these interest rates are, we got teased earlier, this month, even about a few weeks ago, that, man, the interest rates were like at 5.9, 6.1, 6.0, whatever the case. People were excited and they were coming out. But now that, the situation happened overseas and the political environment is the way it is, now interest rates and the gas prices are going up. $5 a gallon. I mean, this is a reality here now, and the cost and inflation, and people are starting, companies, corporations are starting to, investors are starting to assess the outlook here. That's causing interest rates to, be volatile, right? And investors don't like volatility. They like more stability. And so right now we're seeing interest rates at 6.5 now. Okay, and there's no certainty that these numbers are going to go back to those to low sixes, upper fives in interest rates for mortgages, 30-year loans, average buyer nationwide. No, we're not seeing that. In fact, they're saying that it might be, even if the war in Iran stopped now, there's still no assurance that in the short term rates are going to jump. So it looks like we're going to have the same as we did last year when it comes to interest rates, in the high sixes, mid to high sixes, in the long term. Okay, and if we hit a recession, or if we hit inflation high numbers, man, it's going to be tough, and only those that are very motivated buyers are going to be in the market. Okay, so again, if you're one of those, 630-777-4597 investors, this is their bread and butter. So again, I know that if you're looking for a deal, you're watching the right video, number one, but you're also going to be working on getting something done here. All right, so reach out to me if you're looking for a deal. All right, back to the calculation. Okay, so that was just a quick rundown of the mortgage interest rate situation as of March 2026, going into April soon. So here we go. Just looking at some numbers here. Again, the taxes are correct here, 59.73. So right now, all I'm doing is calculating if this property is good for buying and holding, right, and renting it out. So assuming that we close in 1 month, right, everything else being the same, we're looking at, here it is, drum roll please, somebody drum roll. All right, 2430. Okay, so we're gonna just round it out to 2400. And no, I am not liking this. Not good. This is not a deal for anything except for someone that's looking to buy and live in it. I'm gonna give this a rating of 75%. It's not the cleanest property in the world, in other words, it's not like fully fixed up, at least the photos that I saw. If they did do a repair on the house and it's updated and improved since the photos, then of course, hopefully the agent that's listing this will be able to update with the fresh new photos. All right, so here I'm just updating some info. All right, very good, very good. All right, so there you go. Let me just update the notes here for my future reference, so that in the next video, especially Mondays, through the week, we do this daily report. We'll be able to reference this information and categorize this as, this home is not a deal. Okay, but it could be still for someone that's looking for primary. So every property fits somebody, absolutely. If you say, well, if it's not for a flip, okay, it could be for someone, right? Let's say three things. If it's not for a flip, okay, it could be for rent or primary. If it doesn't work out for a rent or primary, then there's still a buyer out there who could be interested in living in this property, okay? And if that doesn't work out, if the price is outrageous and no one can pick it up, then it's best to just hold it, not sell it. You know what I mean? Because not every property out there should be sold or considered. I would love for all properties to be in consideration, but sometimes they're not. Okay, now let's go to the next property. Going back to this list right here. All right, the next one is 86 Circle Drive. 86 Circle Drive, and that one's gonna be right here. All right, there it is, very, very close to our first property. This one's gonna be 86 Circle Drive East. This one's going for $280,000. It has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Let me go ahead and show you how it looks like. There it is. All right, there it is. Look at the interior of the home. It's been beautifully staged. The countertops, in my opinion, could be better. It looks like it's probably laminate. Some people like it, actually. Some people do like it. Some people don't like rock or that hard porous material like concrete or wood. There's marble, there's quartz, there's granite, right? There's all types. But some people don't like it. They just like the wood, and it's all good. Everyone has their preference. I'm learning that, here in real estate. Everyone has their preference. So never, ever think about a property being out of the reach. Or if you don't like it personally, doesn't mean there's not anyone that's not going to like it, right? Here's the bathroom as well. And these are the numbers. So again, already looking at this, it is not a flip, right? A flipper would not be interested in this home because it is not in that situation. I'm a flipper. It's like a doctor, right? A doctor wants to do business with a sick person and sick individual because that's their bread and butter. And if their person is healthy, great. But it's not for a doctor, right? A dentist also wants to have someone that has teeth that are in need, or at least to clean it up. And if not, then have a nice day, right? Here's a candy. All right, so let's go now take a look. Again, we're smack dab in the middle of Boulder Hill. All right, we're staying here. So let's take a look at some of the numbers, okay? Let's try to run through this one quickly. All right, 86 Circle Drive. All right, here we go. Start running the numbers for rent. All right, bedrooms, bath. Again, this one has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath alone. Actually, I'm gonna move this away here. There it is. So as I'm doing this off camera, you can go ahead and take a look here at this subject property that we're looking at now. This is our new subject property, okay? 3 bedrooms, 1 bath house. All right, let me start updating some information such as numbers. This one here can rent for, all right, a low number of $2,000. You see, that's interesting, right? Because take a look at this. These 2 properties are so close to each other. Again, we looked at Wyndham. This one go for $2,600, but this one here only for 19 something or 2,000. $500 difference, $600 difference between these 2. What's the difference? They're only a couple streets apart. Why is it like this? Well, there's 10 comps that show you this, but I mean, listen, if you were able to add even a half bath to this property, right, then you would be able to see that this property, even a half bath, I mean, can you imagine, even a half bath property to this property can add $500 in value, all right, just not adding another half bath or full bath, right? Just right there, case in point. Because this home here has only 1 bath, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. That's it. It has only one of those. Unfortunately, it only gets you to the $2,000 a month in rents. Whereas if you added another one, you could have more. All right, but it is what it is, right? That's the state of the market, right? In this case. All right, so we're going to just plug in those numbers, $2,000 a month. All right, this property was listed on the 19th of September. All right, that was just a couple days ago. So 03. Let me actually update this. Sorry about that. This is just internal for me. In 2026, all right, putting in those numbers. And then they're asking for, the asking price is $280. That's the asking price, all right? Now that we have this, because we know that it's not going to be a flip because of the properties, I'm sorry, the photos, it's already fully fixed up. There's no need to go in there and take a look. There's no need for me to plug in that this property has, see that right there? There's no need for me to say that this property is going to go for rehab or it's going to go for a flip. None of that. Okay, so what we're really focusing on is if this property can go for a rent. Now again, knowing that the property price is only $280,000, it's literally $10,000 less than the other house, right? It's probably not going to go for that either. It's probably going to be the same price. But let's take a look, right? All right, so let me just run the numbers here. It is a slab, by the way, and the other house has a basement, okay? That's another factor that helps. But this one here doesn't have a basement, it has a slab. So they're saying minus 1 bath, minus a basement, 10K. We'll see what the market says, right? It is a hot market right now. So we're gonna see. Okay, so again, they're asking $280 for this house. All right, interest rates again, 7.5. The buyer agent fee. Putting it in there, okay. We're looking at insurance costs and the taxes. All right, let's take a look at the taxes for this property. 56. So very, very similar to the other one. And I do see there's a exemption here. I'm gonna just leave that as is for now, just to save a little bit of time. 56. So actually, I'm gonna just raise it up a little bit to show, kind of compensate for that based on my experience or what I've seen in the field. Okay. So, and if it closes in 1 month, all right, here we go. To find out if this property is good for rents or not, remember, the rents are $2,000. So take that number, compare it to the mortgage. If it's low, then that little extra room is going to be profitable, right? If not, then it's not. And the number spitting out, it says $2,200. So literally, this property, you're going to lose money if you buy it for buy and hold. Every month, you're going to be losing $200 cash flow. All right, so that's not good. All right. So other than that, that's all we have here for this one. Let me just actually try to schedule an appointment to go see this home and see what kind of information we get, just because I do want to see if it's a go and show or if it's not. It is a go and show. Very good. So yeah, I'm going to keep it there. There we go. And put this information in for this home. All right, so there you have it. We comped a couple of properties here. We're up to speed in the market. I'm so glad that you watched it. Unfortunately, we couldn't have Little Luis come out because there were no deals in the market, at least the ones that we scanned. Remember, there's a couple of deals out on the market right now. Yes, don't get it twisted, okay? Call this number, 630-777-4597 if you're interested to know what other deals there are in the market. And not just in Aurora proper, but also other parts in the Western Suburbs of Chicago. Love to help you out with that. Again, Luis Torres, real estate agent here with OnPath Realty here in the great state of Illinois and in the Chicagoland area. looking to help you out here with the real estate. Again, you were watching the video here with the deal finder, Luis the broker. Don't forget to follow me here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know the deal. So with that said, I will catch you here next week with the next deal finder episode. Have yourself a great one and reach out to me. We'll be in touch. Take care.